sorry. I don't think it looks right.
This is good, and it's all good, baby.
Is it really all good?
If you love me enough to routinely test your handyman skills, not to mention the strength of your marriage, then of course you'll visit nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat to make sure I'm in the right car seat.
I'm gonna call my dad.
This is the FlashPoint Television Network.
Welcome to FlashPoint NewsBreak, where the truth lives. Here are today's news stories.
Welcome to NewsBreak. I'm Gene Bailey. The goal of NewsBreak is to bring you the stories from around the globe that affect your life. Let's get started with what's happening.
This morning, troubling allegations against a California man now facing state and federal charges after police say he was found with a loaded weapon at President Trump's golf course near Los Angeles. 38-year-old Janine John Taylor was said to be acting suspiciously on the grounds of Trump National Golf Course on July 31st, wearing an earpiece, taking pictures and videos, appearing to monitor security planning activities.
He appeared to show that he was surveilling the site and taking an interest in the site that was beyond what they would consider as normal.
According to authorities, he then returned 2 days later, approaching federal agents saying he worked for the State Department as part of the security detail. Federal agents contacted the local sheriff's office, who took Taylor into custody. Authorities say they found hollow point bullets in his pockets and a loaded pistol in his vehicle parked at the course, along with a badge that read Fugitive Recovery Bail Enforcement Agent. In a search of the suspect's home, authorities say they found an illegally modified AR-style rifle, body armor, radio signal devices, and multiple notebooks containing what officials described as concerning statements. The assistant director of the FBI Los Angeles field office says in a statement, there is no room for error, particularly in light of previous attempts on President Trump's life. Now, the suspect is due in court later today. Authorities are still investigating a motive, but they say they're thankful that an arrest was made ahead of the president's visit.
Even as diplomats discuss the future of the Strait of Hormuz, Iran reportedly launched at least 3 drones at a U.S. military base in Kuwait early Tuesday. President Trump said Iran requested the talks to avoid a massive U.S. strike. Later on Truth Social, he accused Iran's leaders of being unbelievably duplicitous.
Iran did not want to be hit. And they said, we want to talk. We want to talk about the Strait, but more importantly, from my standpoint, we want to talk about the denuclearization of Iran, because this is what it's all about. This is why I'm doing this.
Trump threatened Iran with, quote, decapitation if talks don't proceed.
They all wanted to give this a last chance. This is a last chance. This is not something that, if it doesn't happen, this is a last chance.
In Gaza, where there appeared to be a disagreement between Trump's Board of Peace and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, the latest statement described the meeting between them as constructive. And Israel says the goal here is clear and without question, a complete decommissioning of weapons along the Strip and a total transition away from a rule by the gun to a civilian governance. According to media reports, Netanyahu told a Board of Peace official that Israel won't hold its fire in Gaza and will not withdraw to the Yellow Line due to the threat posed by Hamas. At a recent conference, Rabbi Tuli Wise, founder of Israel 365, says he believes Israel will only win if it holds on to the land God gave the Jewish people in the Bible.
The path to victory is to continue to strengthen our military, to be able to support our soldiers. We absolutely need to hold on to every inch that God gave to us of Judea and Samaria, even Gaza.
Reporting for FlashPoint in Jerusalem, I'm Paul Petit.
President Trump says a deal with Iran could come as early as today. In an interview with Fox News, he says talks took place all day on Tuesday and things are looking very good. He told Trace Gallagher that if this isn't ultimately agreed to, Iran will face severe consequences. CENTCOM released a statement saying the southern route through the Strait of Hormuz remains free and open for all commercial vessels seeking to transit the international waterway. Over the past 3 months, U.S. forces have assisted more than 1,000 vessels in successfully transiting the strait despite unwarranted Iranian aggression, and these transits continue today. Right now, talks are ongoing between Iran and Oman aimed at reaching an understanding on control of the strait. We're also tracking reports of explosions overnight in Dubai along the Persian Gulf. It's unclear if this was an Iranian attack.
But if the strait opens up, and it's partially opened anyway, and as you know, we control the strait totally through the blockade. But if we have no friction, then oil will go down to, I think it'll go down to $2.50 a gallon.
But, Lou, is that promise enough to keep the House and Senate in Republican hands when right now, when you go fill up, it's not $2.50, it's $4.50 and beyond?
I think this is not an if but a when question, right? We know gas prices are going to come back down. I just don't know that it's going to be enough time. I mean, if you look at it, oil's pulled back tremendously yesterday, but it takes 20 to 40 days for gas prices to reflect those declines. So unfortunately, I think there's going to be pain at the pump as we're going into the midterms, and the president's got to have a better message that says, hey, look, it's getting better, and oh, by the way, we're going to keep giving you more of your paycheck. These Democratic socialists that seem to be trying to take over want to take more of it. So that message has to be double-sided. Gas is coming down, but we're here and we're better than the alternative.
Ukrainian President Zelensky is calling for help from allies after a Russian attack in Kyiv killed 17 people and wounded dozens of others. ABC foreign correspondent Tom Soufi-Burge is here with the latest. Tom, this is a direct call to action by Zelensky, is it not?
Yeah, that's right, Andrew. I mean, I think President Zelensky has come out very clearly, and he has said that in 2026, throughout the whole of this year so far, Ukraine has received a much smaller number of the interceptor missiles for air defense systems to shoot down Russian ballistic missiles. He says that in 2026 compared to 2025, there are threefold less of those interceptors coming from Western partners. Now, obviously, the Patriot system made in the United States is the key one. President Zelensky meeting President Trump just days ago at the White House and clearly pushing once again for the U.S. to supply more of those Patriot missiles. But of course, we know the U.S. has used up a lot of them in its war against Iran. But look, this attack by Russia on Kyiv and the surrounding region overnight was also critical, not only because Ukraine wasn't able to shoot down a single one of 24 ballistic missiles fired by Russia, but also 4 anti-ship missiles, but also because the Russians now, according to Ukrainian officials, have been striking commercial companies in Ukraine and their logistics warehouses, major supermarkets, the public post office, and also a massive e-commerce company in Ukraine. And this appears to be a direct Russian response to basically in the last few weeks a spate of Ukrainian long-range drone attacks on a company in Russia called Wildberries. It is the biggest e-commerce company in Russia. It is absolutely vast, and the Ukrainians have been repeatedly using these drones to strike these logistics centers linked to that e-commerce Russian company. And basically Ukraine has accused the Russians of using that company to distribute military equipment. You can buy non-lethal military equipment like body armor or night vision goggles on Wildberries' website. But Wildberries, the company, says, well, that is the case for many, many other companies around the world. Look, basically what the Ukrainians are doing are trying to take the war into Russia. And what is clear right now, Andrew, is we're seeing the war escalating on multiple levels, particularly in terms of these aerial attacks by Ukraine, these drone attacks against that company and Russian oil refineries, and now this Russian response.
Before pleading the fifth more than 100 times last week, Dr. Fauci had this to say in his opening statement.
Senator Paul's obvious obsession with calling for my prosecution, his repeated slanderous comments about me, and recently his publicly releasing my unredacted personal diary aimed at embarrassing and intimidating me. The only conclusion I can reach is that the sole reason he is calling me before this committee is to get me to say something.
And here's one vignette from his diary written on that government computer. For better or worse, I am becoming an international celebrity. Calls from all over the world. And here's Senator Rand Paul reacting out of that hearing.
President Biden granted him complete immunity. With a grant of immunity, do you still need Fifth Amendment protections, or do they apply? So, and telling that all he had to do today was tell the truth. If he testified and told the truth, even if he admitted to destroying thousands of records, which we think happened, there's no penalty.
And that contempt vote will be held tomorrow morning on Capitol Hill at 8:30, Bill.
This morning, a dramatic escape from the flames by boat. These incredible images of residents taking shelter on Lake Spokane. Bill Struett was in the caravan of boats that left their neighborhood threatened by the Autumn Lane fire.
My eyes were hurting. I had to put my head down underneath the steering wheel and then push my way through. I had a T-shirt wrapped around my face to cover my face and got through the smoky aspects of it.
And fire on both sides?
Fire on both sides, yeah. And homes burning up.
This is the man who prosecutors say started the most destructive of the 3 wildfires burning around Spokane. 37-year-old Aaron Farinacci appearing in front of a judge via Zoom on Tuesday. Farinacci was stopped by police near where the Old Trails fire started after residents called to report him. Prosecutors say he had matches and a butane lighter.
He was bent over, looking towards, doing something in the grass and to the tree line area. And when he saw us, he immediately stood up, turned around to face us and watched us the whole way.
The fires are now the most destructive in the history of Washington state. At least 700 structures damaged or destroyed, and more than 10,000 acres burned. Kimber and Kristen Renz's home had been in the family for over 30 years.
There's a lot of family heirlooms left in the house. It's all those memories. It's, you wake up and you think, oh, this is gone. This is gone.
Firefighters trying to put out the flames before wind and heat return later this week.
And George, so many families are telling us they don't know what they're going to do at this point, if they're going to stay and rebuild or sell their land and go. They have a long journey in front of them.
This isn't just merch, it's a movement. FlashPoint gear is made for those who won't back down, who stand for truth, faith, and freedom.
Go to the FlashPointStore.com.
From t-shirts and hats to more.
That's where all the new products are. Check it out. You'll be glad you did.
Every piece is designed to speak before you do. Wherever life takes you, wear what you believe. Wear FlashPoint. Order now at FlashPointStore.com. Don't just follow the movement, represent it.
You've launched a new group called Empowering America's Parents. Tell us about the group and why you launched it.
Well, a big part of President Trump's Working Families Tax Cut Act are the education freedom tax credits. And these tax credits unlock school choice virtually on a universal basis across the country. And these tax credits not only allow private donations to be paired with a federal tax credit to provide scholarships for tuition, but also for tutoring, for services to students with developmental disabilities, for supplies and transportation. I mean, this is almost universal school choice for the entire country. The big caveat is that governors have to opt into this. Right. And we have seen Republican governors opt in across the board and far left governors not opt in. And they're not opting in purely for political reasons. And this is not fair for parents and families and children across the country. And so we're standing up, making sure that Americans understand that these federally funded tax credits, which take no money away from a state education fund, provide these scholarships for a variety of uses that include students who are in public schools, are available, but their governors have to opt in. And that's why we're saying to all governors, opt in to the education freedom tax credit and stand with families and stand against politics.
Voters in Missouri overwhelmingly, look at those numbers, rejecting Amendment 5, which would have phased out income tax in that state. Governor Mike Kehoe releasing the following statement, quote, throughout this conversation on eliminating the state income tax, we made the case that Missouri should think boldly about its future, challenge the status quo, and pursue policies that make our state more competitive. While Amendment 5 did not earn the support it needed, you could say that again, I believe our work is far from over. Fox Business contributor Lou Bassany joins me now. Lou, income tax-free states like Florida, like Texas, like Tennessee, they see huge inflows of migration that apparently the people of Missouri didn't want.
They don't want that, and apparently they don't know basic math, because why wouldn't you want to keep more of your paycheck? And this is a trend that's unfolding, and it's unfortunate that Missouri didn't go for it, but 23 states have lowered their state income tax levels since 2021. Go figure, only 4 to 5 of them are Democrat run. So this is a red state movement that you're showing. Look at the likes of Florida. Look at the balanced budget they have there. Look at the boom in wealth and prosperity. And guess what? They have public services, and there's schools and police. Everything that you would expect is running on income taxes is now funded through sales taxes, and it doesn't push up the cost of living.
Yeah, I do a radio hit with a St. Louis station, and that was the main concern, that the sales tax revenue wouldn't make up for the loss in income tax. Typically, in these states, like I know Florida, the numbers work out. Yeah. Do the numbers work out in these other states?
Yeah, they absolutely work out. And the funny thing here with Missouri is this wasn't going to go away until they could replace it, right? So 61% of their budget was coming from the state income tax, and this bill was going to pass. The trigger was we're only going to start phasing it out until we start replacing that revenue. So there was no risk here. I mean, the fact that 83% of people voted against it means 83% of people probably didn't understand exactly what they were voting on.
And that means the people that were against it in terms of the big moneyed interest found a way to convince 83% of people to vote the way that they did.
We have a major call to make on this Fox News alert on a major race out of Michigan that could reset the race for November and the balance of power in the U.S. Senate. Abdul El Sayed, age 41, ran for governor 8 years ago, unsuccessful against Gretchen Whitmer. This time, a winner against Haley Stevens. The Associated Press has made the call, and El Sayed now will take his campaign head-to-head with the Republican Mike Rogers in November, and that will be one to watch. So this is what he campaigned on: Medicare for all, no military aid to Israel, tax the rich, reform ICE, abolish the filibuster in the Senate if he wins, and campaign finance reform. Rana, what does this victory mean? Not in a blue dot district in New York City, but in a purple state of Michigan.
Oh, I think this is going to energize Republicans. Republicans who have been dormant a lot in the past few midterms, have sat out midterms, have not paid attention to the midterms, and suddenly they are awake and aware of the threat of the most dangerous ticket that Democrats have ever put forward. Not just with Sayed. They have an attorney general nominee, a Soros-backed attorney general nominee named Ellie Savitt. Their Supreme Court nominees are radical. They are running on things like putting violent criminals back on the street. They have put violent criminals back on the street. So the ticket up and down on the Democrat side is very dangerous. And I think this might be the shot on the arm Republicans need to engage in a midterm where we haven't been engaging in the past two cycles.
Okay, Ron, I should have mentioned you're from Michigan, so you know the state very well.
Yeah.
Ronna, think about this right now in the battle for the Senate, okay? We've been using this in our power rankings for some time. Keep in mind, Democrats right now, they need to flip 4 seats that Republicans currently hold. But one of the seats that was leaning Democrat was Michigan. And like, how do you look at that right now? If this is considered maybe a toss-up or even a lean toward Republicans, that makes this challenge in Alaska, Iowa, Maine, and Ohio so much more difficult. But just take the Michigan case right now. If Mike Rogers were to take that seat from the Democrats, they need to go elsewhere in order to take control of the Senate. It seems at the moment that it's a much more difficult climb. How do you see it?
I absolutely agree. I mean, Chuck Schumer and the Democrat establishment, they were all in for Haley Stevens. She spent $60 million on TV. Sayed spent $6 million on TV. And they wanted her to be their nominee because this disrupts their path to the Senate. And one other thing, Bill, Michigan's a straight party ticket state. So you go vote R at the top of the ticket. We're one of 8 that still employs this. This helps us with the House, too, in districts like Tom Barrett, where they elected a DSA candidate against him last night. So this is going to help us across the board, not just in Michigan, but nationwide for prospects for Republicans in these midterms.
I'm from Ohio. I don't think Michigan's that different from Ohio.
No.
I don't know how it's going to fly, but go ahead and roll this. Soundbite number 3. Watch here.
Do you see a progressive lane materializing that goes through Michigan for 2028 after tonight?
Absolutely. But it's not just Michigan. This is just the beginning. These are never supposed to be swing states, and they will never be swing states ever again if I have something to do with it. We will hopefully continue this movement all across the United States of America. We'll go to every single state.
So here's what's going to happen, Ronna. Every Democrat is going to be asked whether or not they can support this. It's already happening, even before the vote yesterday. There's a Democratic congresswoman running in Kent County that I just showed, and she said, there's no way I can get behind Syed.
Right.
And she's Democrat
Right.
now. Now, yesterday we had Debbie Dingell on. I've known Debbie Dingell for decades, and she took a different position. She said, if Syed wins, we must get behind him because we have to take back the Senate. I know Debbie Dingell is a friend of Israel. These are cross currents that I don't think the party has seen or experienced just yet, and we're about to find out how it goes.
We're seeing a transformation of the Democratic Party. And what the debate within the Democratic Party is about, it's not only about ideology. I want to see billionaires start paying their fair share of taxes. I believe, as progressives do, that health care is a human right. We need Medicare for all. We are growing the voter universe, bringing people in who have been disenchanted and not participating.
Bernie Sanders says these far-left wins prove where the country is headed. And next Tuesday, Democrat socialists face a huge test in Wisconsin, where their leading candidate for governor is taking heat for her push to cancel Thanksgiving. Listen.
Do you still believe that Thanksgiving should be canceled?
I'm a chef, and one of the first meals that I made that was for the community when I was 16 was a Thanksgiving meal. But Thanksgiving is also a time that's incredibly painful for many people in our communities.
Former Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin joins us now. Governor, so great to see you this morning. Thanks for joining. You know, as the former governor of the state that held America's first Thanksgiving, what do you think of this?
Well, I think it's just a shocking admission that the Democrat Party is in a battle for its soul.
Yeah.
And we see in Michigan, while El Sayed has not been declared the winner, he is winning. And Francesca Hong is winning in the Wisconsin primary race. We'll see the results of that next Tuesday. But let's be clear, this is the Socialist Party of America, and they are standing for ideas that are crazy. Defunding police, defunding the Department of War, letting everybody out of our prisons and getting rid of our prisons, getting rid of the presidency, the Senate. I mean, this is crazy stuff. And I think we all should step back for a minute for a big wake-up call, not just the Democratic Party, but Americans, and recognize that this election cycle will be a moment for us to stand together, not as Republicans versus Democrats, but as Americans against socialism. And we have got to get out and make sure that we defeat this insurgency of socialist ideas in America today and stand for the future of America, as I know it in Virginia. Listen, Virginia was where Thomas Jefferson wrote the Declaration of Independence, and we know that we have rights that have been granted to us by an almighty God, and we've got to stand for this on a go-forward basis, and these ideas coming out of the socialists are crazy.
The Islamic Society of Tulsa has now filed a lawsuit against the city of Broken Arrow and some city leaders over their decision earlier this year to deny a rezoning request to allow them to build a mosque. Thank you for joining us at 5. I'm Lori Fulbright. They say their rights were violated. The city says it cannot comment on pending litigation. News on 6's Cal Day is live in Broken Arrow, where city councilors are expected to discuss that and the recently announced Department of Justice investigation into the same issue. Cal?
Lori, the city could hire a law firm to represent them in that DOJ investigation, and which is also tied to the denial of that rezoning application. Now the city and some of those counselors are also at the center of this lawsuit. Members of the Islamic Society of Tulsa say this was never a part of their plan.
None of us wanted to be here announcing a lawsuit. We wanted to build a place of worship for our community members who already live and contribute to the fabric of Broken Arrow.
That plan to build a mosque on a piece of land already owned by the religious organization was struck down when the Broken Arrow City Council denied a rezoning application. At the time, city leaders say the project did not meet requirements, but it had already been approved by the City Planning Commission. The lawsuit says rights were violated.
We firmly believe that every American should have the same chance of worship freely and be treated with dignity.
The Islamic Society of Tulsa is getting help from the Council on American Islamic Relations, the nation's biggest Muslim civil rights organization. They say it is clear this proposal was treated differently.
Before and after our denial, other projects of similar size and similar circumstances were approved.
Islamic Society of Tulsa leaders say they hope a court sides with them and they will be able to have the application reconsidered and passed.
It is our hope that this journey will ultimately strengthen our community, reaffirming the fundamental values that make Broken Arrow a place we are proud to call home.
I asked Broken Arrow Mayor Deborah Wimpy for comment, but Lori, she declined to give one.
Yeah, not a lot of American flags out there at that event. Looks like a great event, by the way. I love all the colors, right? Such colorful outfits. They're not all wearing the same stupid thing, all black, like covered head to toe in the middle of summer. Great job, guys. This is happening all across Michigan and all across America. That is not what assimilation looks like. That is what an invasion looks like. Instead of assimilation, it is total domination. And most people don't even realize this is happening, even in Michigan. And then you see this, what's happening tonight, right now. A man named Abdul al-Said is about to become the first Muslim socialist ever nominated for the United States Senate in Michigan. And wouldn't you know it, he thinks that all immigrants should be treated just like American citizens, even if they're here illegally.
We've also got to make sure that in this state, we are not discriminating by documentation status. Right now, if you're undocumented, you don't get access to a driver's license. So you're stuck. You don't get access to a lot of the basic things the state offers everybody else. And I think that's ridiculous. And so we've got to stop discriminating that way.
Abdul, I'm sorry, it's not discrimination. Illegal immigrants are not American citizens. Again, illegal immigrants are not American citizens, meaning they should not have access to what the state offers real, actual American citizens. There's a difference, and this is just madness. Abdul is from Egypt, and guess what? Abdul, we looked into it, and if I moved to Egypt tomorrow, they would not give me a driver's license there either because I'm not Egyptian, I'm American. But this is the insanity of the left today. And then there's this ultra-woke narrative on the left that Israel right now is committing genocide in Gaza.
You struggle for the health care you need, and meanwhile, our government sends a foreign country of 10 million people, that's like the size of the state of Michigan, billions of our tax dollars every single year. And then to watch that country do a genocide on top of the apartheid that it does on baseline, and then take us to a war that we had no business fighting.
You see how casually he inserts that, how casually this Muslim immigrant that no one ever heard of before this election cycle claims that Israel is committing genocide in Gaza. Genocide. We hear it all the time. What is it? Well, it's defined as an action, quote, committed with the intent to destroy a racial or religious group, which is interesting because the population in Gaza has actually grown over the last 3 years. So that's some terrific genocide. Way to go, Israel. If that's a real genocide, why are the Israelis sending food and medical supplies into Gaza after October 7th? Think about that. That's some genocide, right? What a genocide, Israel. And why are the Israelis dropping leaflets letting citizens in Gaza know where military strikes are going to happen when the war was happening? Great genocide, Israel. Great job.
Watch FlashPoint every weeknight at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. This has been a FlashPoint NewsBreak presentation.
I guess you're really going off to school, Mom.
I will remember you. Will you remember me? Don't let your life pass you by.
I love you too, Dad.
Weep not
The War Room is calling. Join the FlashPoint War Room, a powerful community of believers standing